Why your home is no longer your own. The server sunset. In 2026, the American home has undergone a quiet digital lobotomy. For decades, we were sold a vision of the future of living, homes that knew when you were hungry, adjusted the lights to your mood, and kept your family safe with AI-driven security. But as we sit here in 2026, the future has arrived with a price tag that never stops ticking. We are witnessing the great server sunset. Thousands of Americans are waking up to bricked appliances, not because the hardware failed, but because the company that hosted the cloud brain went bankrupt, got acquired, or simply decided your 2022 model was no longer worth the server costs. In this investigation, we are uncovering the state of the ledger, the intentional transition from home ownership to home as a service. We're looking at why your fridge now requires a subscription to stay cold, and how the Matter protocol, which promised to save us, has become the ultimate tool for corporate lock-in. The Matter trap and unified control. In 2025, the tech giants promised us a revolution called Matter. It was supposed to be the universal language of the home, one app to rule them all. But by 2026, Matter has revealed its true face. While it made devices talk to each other, it also gave manufacturers a single centralized kill switch for your entire house. In the old days, your washing machine was an island. If your Wi-Fi went out, the clothes still got clean. In 2026, the unified ecosystem means your appliances are constantly performing a handshake with the manufacturer's headquarters. If that handshake fails, either because your subscription lapsed or because the company updated their terms of service, the device enters protective lockout. We've seen cases where smart ranges refuse to preheat because the internal sensor detected an unauthorized Wi-Fi extender. They call it security. In reality, it's digital fencing. You are paying a mortgage for a property where you don't even have the administrative password. Privacy as a service. In 2026, your appliances are no longer tools, they are data harvesters. Your vacuum is mapping your floor plan. Your fridge is tracking your grocery habits. Your smart speaker is listening for acoustic signatures to determine your emotional state. But here is the real kicker for 2026: privacy as a service. Major security brands like ADT and Vivint have moved to a model where the device functions, but privacy is an upgrade. If you want your security footage encrypted locally so the manufacturer can't see it, that's an extra $19.99 a month. If you want the AI to not share your habit data with insurance companies, that's the Gold Shield tier. We are living in an era where the default state of your home is public. You have to pay a monthly ransom to keep the walls of your own house opaque. This is the decay of the American sanctuary. Your home is now a smart station that reports back to the mothership every time you open the door. The Fair Repair Act versus the chip. In February 2026, the Fair Repair Act was introduced in the U.S. Senate to protect our right to fix our own stuff. But the industry is already 2 steps ahead. They're not fighting the law with lawyers anymore. They're fighting it with encrypted silicon. The technical meat. Manufacturers are now using zonal control chips. Even a simple component like a dishwasher's water pump now has a unique ID. If you try to swap it with a generic part, the central OS sees the mismatch and bricks the unit instantly. We've reached a point where the official repair costs as much as a new machine. It's a calculated waste. They want you to throw it away. They want you to stay on the upgrade treadmill, because a dumb appliance that lasts 30 years is a loss on their balance sheet. In 2026, sustainability is the buzzword they use to sell you a new machine every 4 years, while the old, perfectly repairable ones end up in a landfill because their software was sunsetted. The analog refuge. So, where do we go from here? The trend for 2026 isn't more tech, it's digital sovereignty. We're seeing a massive surge in the analog refugee market. People are scouring eBay for 2010-era appliances that don't have Wi-Fi chips. We're seeing a new wave of local-only home automation using devices that refuse to talk to the cloud. The most luxurious home in 2026 isn't the one with the most screens, it's the one that can't be turned off by a corporate server in a different time zone. It's the home where off actually means off. Ownership is a form of resistance. If you want to keep your home, you have to keep it dumb. Because in the wreckage of the 21st century, the only true smart home is the one that belongs to the person who lives in it. For 5,000 years, the boundary between mine and the world was physical. It was a piece of notched wood in Egypt, a heavy iron bolt in Rome, a steel tumbler in Victorian London. To cross the threshold, you needed the object. But we have traded the weight of the key for the convenience of the ghost. We've turned our front doors into nodes on a network. And in doing so, we've asked a dangerous question. What happens to a home when the door decides you no longer have permission to enter? 1. The convenience trap. A mother carrying groceries kicks a door open via proximity sensor. A man in an office 500 miles away taps his phone to let a plumber into his foyer. The pitch was irresistible. No more fumbling in the rain, no more hidden keys under the mat. Total control granted by the cloud. We called it smart. We called it seamless. But seamless is just another word for vulnerable. When you digitize the deadbolt, you don't just invite your friends in, you invite the infrastructure. 2. The protocol of exclusion. The failure isn't always a hack, it's a handshake. A failed handshake between your hardware and a server in a different time zone. Maybe the company went bankrupt and the servers went dark. Maybe your subscription to entry as a service lapsed. Or maybe, in the interest of public safety, the grid issued a localized lockout. 3. The handmade resistance. This is where the handmade revolution finds its front line, in the refusal to let a software update determine the sanctity of the home. We are entering the era of the analog sanctuary, a movement of people returning to the heavy, the mechanical, and the disconnected. Because a brass key doesn't need a firmware update to recognize its owner. It doesn't report your in-out times to a data broker. And most importantly, it doesn't need permission from the cloud to let you go home. This is the state of the ledger. I'll see you in the wreckage.